Hello, everybody. I'm going to be doing a podcast, first one of the year, of course, starting on December 10th. Today I've got with me Brianvondooms, who is our resident Team Spooby,
How are you?
and Voa, our TO, for lack of a better term, BB Tiger enthusiast.
How are you guys doing?
Even now he's practicing combos, them
I am
360s.
actually practicing combos.
Fantastic.
And tick throws. There's no point in practicing a 360 if it's not a tick throw.
This is very true.
You like your backdashes in the 360s as well. Now that's your new thing, isn't it?
And according to the stream recently, which they can find on twitch.tv at Brianvondooms, I live and die by the mix-up of Magnatech wheel, apparently. I hadn't realized this, and then rewatching the matches, yeah, I totally do.
Okay.
Just do a move and rapid it, and then get a bullshit mix-up.
Yes. So the topic for today was going to elaborate something on how to become a pro fighting game player. Cliché, we know, but we needed to start somewhere. However, Brian has brought up some interesting news regarding YouTube's policies at the moment.
I have. I don't even know where to start with this, but basically the upshot of it appears to be that it is becoming virtually impossible on YouTube for someone who doesn't directly own the game footage that they're using to monetize it in any way, shape, or form, or to have an account that's anything other than the basic YouTube account. Because what's happening is they're doing extremely aggressive automated content ID matches, which effectively means that you can't monetize those videos at all. On top of that, if you have a partner account, what they're doing, and this is for everyone now, this isn't just for gaming, what they're doing is they're actually running random checks of the videos that you're creating. So they're saying that these checks can take up to 2 days. Now, a lot of channels on YouTube are news channels or other similar things. Channels like me, where it's a tournament from beginning to end, or Let's Plays, where knocking one out of order ruins it, But the really damaging thing about the situation is that it disencourages, as far as I'm concerned, is that YouTube are now disencouraging, if that's a real word, people from putting any effort or any heart or any soul into making video game related media. And obviously this is very important with fighting games. Because you will get no reward for it. It's like, I make a lot of videos, and everyone who knows the Irish community knows, like, I'm approaching 2,000 now. And not for a second, if you ask me, are you entitled to the full rights of these videos, I'd go, well, no. But I am entitled to something because they're a transformed work. I've put a lot of effort into them. Do you know what I mean? I set up all this gear, I record it, I provide for the commentators, sometimes I do commentary myself. It's not just playing gameplay footage.
Of course.
And I think it's an important copyright issue, it's an important freedom of speech issue, and it's very, very important, I think, to point out, because God knows who's listening to this, that this is not the fault of the publishers or the developers. What's happening here is an aggressive YouTube policy. So it's not a total end of the world when it comes to uploading the video, uploading to YouTube. You can still upload gaming footage to YouTube. If you put in too many cutscenes, you're likely to get it taken down anyway, because if it's a new game, the content makers don't like that. But if you want to make a complicated video, if you spend hours and hours and hours on a video, if you spend hours and hours and hours on Twitter or Facebook trying to build up a community, all of this counts for naught now. If your videos get content ID'd, you can't make any profit off it, and it's really, really encouraging people to not put effort into making videos and building communities. And let's not forget that's what YouTube started as. Do you know what I mean? It's a platform for building communities. YouTube, the television of the people. So So that's lost. That's going away now, and that's a sad thing. I feel like I'm kind of ranting a bit.
No, it's no problem at all.
Yeah.
Are you well informed of this?
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
The only thing I could contribute is to say that like it seems more like an aggressive push by Google to try and get their own brand of stuff back out onto the market, try to make it more popular, but in doing so, they're much more wary of the copyright claims that could be made against them, and because of that wariness, they're interested in keeping the brand as clean as possible. But in doing so, they have been over aggressive, and now it's really hurt the way that YouTube is meant to be. Like,
yeah.
enjoyed by the people. But like I can almost see their point of view, because it's like 7 minutes worth of footage is uploaded every minute. So there's no way they can make a check through it. There's no way they could reasonably hire enough people to try and do that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I think they've gone completely the wrong direction with every last couple of set of steps they've done. Like, they've constantly redesigned the YouTube front page, which everyone always agrees looks awful every time they redesign it. And somehow, they've got these amazing creative minds that make it worse every fucking time, somehow. Like, my mind is blown as to how you could possibly wreck a page even more than, say, the last YouTube layout and what it used to be with the series of horizontal boxes.
Yeah.
And then they just decimated that, and then you can't even find your videos anymore that you subscribe to. But like the Google Plus fiasco, nobody wanted that except Google, and now the automated searching and also the peer-reviewed search, not peer-reviewed searching, sorry, the human-reviewed videos are also another thing that Google want, because they want to put a human in the loop to try and check to make sure you're not, like, I don't know, stealing footage anywhere.
lower the sound of the video down an octave to avoid the algorithms. That was a big one.
You're joking, but that might become a thing that people have to do, you know? I think on what you just said there, Voa, I think it's very important to note now, I'm not Ultra David, I'm not a lawyer.
What?
But as far as I know, the situation as it stands with copyright and the way that Google do things
Do it
is
downstairs, I'm very
there's a
busy.
law in America called the DMCA, which stands for the Digital Millennium Copyright Act.
Thank you very much.
Right? And the way this law works, and the way it's worked on YouTube, and the way people have been happy to work with, is that YouTube has no responsibility for what's in their videos until someone tells them something is wrong. Okay? So, for example, say you're me, and say on day one that Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 came out, I put up the cutscene from the game, the main cutscene. You know, the intro, the really cool one?
God, I love the intro.
Yeah, right. Great intro. Say I put that up on day one, right? And Capcom, who have spent, I don't know how much something like that costs, but I'd say it's in the hundreds of thousands.
Oh, more.
Like, it's really nice, you know?
It's expensive.
Yeah, they don't want random Irish guy with that up on day one, and that's fair enough. So the way it works is Capcom go to my video and they make a Digital Millennium Copyright claim, right? This is a legal proceeding and cannot be done lightly. Do you know what I mean? But
Right.
once it's done, Google have to take down the video and see what's what. Okay? Now, because it's such a heavy thing to do, it's not done lightly, this was a great way of doing things. It meant that Google had what was known as a safe harbor. Like, they don't have to do what they're currently doing because the law doesn't work this way. They're choosing to do this. That Digital Millennia thing, Copyright Act, is still in place. Right? So, again, as I said, it's not the games companies that are doing this because they already have their mechanism in place if they want to go down this route.
Right, so let's just wind it back a bit. So the whole, like, the way YouTube is being set up now, from what we can understand, it seems as though it seems like they're just placing a failsafe in where there doesn't need to be one. These copyrights, they could theoretically, you know, pin YouTube in some trouble, and if the copyright owner did come over to YouTube and said, take this down, we'll sue you, they can be liable for trouble. But this is a scenario which is highly unlikely.
Well, as I said, no, that's not actually true. Because if someone says, take this down or we sue you, if they don't take it down, then yes, they can be in trouble. But if they take it down when they're told, when they're requested, then they can't get in any trouble. That's the safe harbor I was talking about.
Okay.
I think the problem is, though, that the DMCA isn't perfect, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, can often be subverted by people. They can, if you're not the rights holder, you can still file a DMCA complaint, and it still has to take down the video. There's been a lot of cases of, like, I am tangentially on YouTube for things, and I hear a lot about the DMCA claims, how there's a lot of false DMCA claims just to try and take videos down, trying to just mess with people, and in worst case scenarios, trying to get people's home addresses and contact details to try and get at them in real life, which is pretty horrendous. So it might be a case of they're trying to cover their ass to get away from having to use the DMCA. But again,
gone too far in the other direction, like.
Yeah, they've automated it too much.
Right. So where does that leave YouTube's users at the moment, as a whole?
Well, okay, I'm gonna give an example. Before, just maybe an hour before I came on to talk to you two, I saw a tweet from Maximilian saying that his Assist Me videos had been content ID.
Now, just for anyone that may not know, who is Maximilian?
Maximilian's the guy with the biggest fighting game channel on YouTube, and I would honestly say that I think he puts a lot of dreck up on the channel and a lot of rumors and stuff from that that I don't really like and I don't really watch. But he also puts up some really high quality content, and the Assist Me videos would be the high quality content. They have, actors, people playing parts, costumes. You can see they're edited really well. And he works really, really hard and really, really tirelessly with these videos to promote the games that he's talking about. He's really not taking, he's giving by doing these videos. Now, obviously, they probably have a few million views now each, I'm not sure off the top of my head, but, he kind of earned that money. He really did. So, I want, when we're talking about this, I want to focus on people like him, because these are the important things that we're going to lose. Because Maximilian now doesn't have the rights to this series that on YouTube that he put so much work and effort and love into. And it's not because Capcom wanted to stop him. I'm sure Capcom helped him out. Do you remember when the Ultimate was coming out?
Yeah, apparently they funded that as well to a degree.
They part-funded that. So, this is the real problem here. Why does Maximilian continue now? You know what I mean? He might continue out of love, but, he puts up, 3 videos a day?
Yeah.
Why does he continue at that same rate? Why does he care?
It's been professed a lot, and you could tell, this has actually been known for a while now. Just recently, for example, the YouTube channel, the same amount of subscribers was Sai Show, and this is one that lived off the ad revenue on YouTube, and now, all of a sudden, they racked up this whole fear of the ad revenue and said, right, instead now we're going to use, I can't remember the exact name of the website, but it was like a subscriber site like Spotify. I can't remember the name of it, God help me. And they suggested people should go subscribe there and pay a monthly fee to keep the channel up and running. And it was kind of like an ongoing Kickstarter that would always annually update itself as time went by. And that seems to be, for me now, a sign that everyone had a fear of this for a long time now. And I'm thinking, well, people like Max have to look for an avenue like that to escape what is eventually coming down as just a DRM-ridden YouTube.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's another way out. Like we're all on the same forum, and you all saw me saying, well, I've got a backup channel now on another video provider, Dailymotion. They seem to be the most friendly to gaming, and I threw up a couple of test videos on their gaming videos, and nothing bad has happened. And as far as I know, there's multiple ways you can monetize over there. So we might be facing an end of YouTube as a gaming platform, which will be very sad indeed. But I think, you're correct. People are going to have to start looking for alternate ways to keep themselves going, because as a community, as a gaming community, let alone just the fighting game community, as a gaming community, if we want the culture that has started to build up around it to continue, we need people to be paid to do it.
Yeah, the hobbyist nature is only going to take you so far, but as Maximilian has expressed time and time again, it can go beyond the labour of love and be a downright harder job than a 40, 9 to 5 a week.
Oh, well, Nutrient, I can tell you, I've been at tournaments where I've been sitting there. Voa will tell you as well, because Voa has to work with me, God love him. After about the 6th or 7th hour, I can get a bit a bit catty, and that's because I've worked a 40-hour week, and I'm giving up my Saturday to come in and record a tournament. And I say giving up, of course, I love doing it. But there are times when you're doing it when it just feels like an awful hard slog, right? Yeah. And I'm not putting in a fifth as much work as someone like Max is, you know?
Yeah, no, yeah, I can see what you mean. Like, as subscribers go up, surely the demand for content will go up. And everyone knows, like, he may put up a lot of Drek, and this is in fact correlated with the fact that he's got so many subscribers. He can only keep so many people entertained, but at the same time put up so many high quality videos around that same time. You can tell his video outputs increased a lot since he debuted.
Yeah, well, like, I mean, when I say Drek, I don't mean to be insulting him. Like,
okay.
he has the biggest fighting game YouTube channel for a reason. He's providing the content that the majority want. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's providing the content that the majority wants. And the majority are not like expert fighting game players, and they're not even medium level fighting game players like you and me. Do you know what I mean? They're casual people. By definition, there's going to be more.
Right.
So
we could say filler then, arguably, could we? Filler. We could just say it's more or less filler to a degree, but like...
Yeah. But it mightn't be filler to someone who doesn't understand fighting games the way we do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I get what you mean.
So why does he continue to do that now?
Yeah.
Can he continue to do that?
That's the big question, is can he? Like, are people still able to put up videos? Like, is this just become a more laborious process in the copyright? Like, can I still put up my video and, by a chance, get it up there? Has this just become much more of a pain in the ass for all people like Max in general? Or is he doomed?
The way I understood what was going on is that you could still upload the video just fine, you just cannot monetize it. Is that not the case? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing to stop the video getting out there, but what's the point in putting the video up there to be viewed and gain cash? Even if it clears the entire thing, and it's like, oh wait, no, this video is actually fine, you're putting all your own work into it. Because the majority of views for a YouTube video of the size of, say, Max's channel and the frequency of his uploads, they all come within the first 24 hours. Or maybe even in the first 3 or 4 hours because of the rate that he puts up videos. Like, after that 3 or 4 hour window has passed, his views drop off exponentially. And then so does his cash gain, because nobody's going to be viewing the video while it has ads on.
That's actually a different issue, but you're 100% correct. That's apparently the case. Mm-hmm. So I hadn't actually discussed that aspect at all, but you're 100% correct. Like,
I figure that if Google want to keep this up on YouTube, they entirely could, provided they change the way that it works. In other words, give every single video a 48-hour to 72-hour grace period wherein nothing gets run on it, and then check it. Like, put a little tab on it if it's like, oh, this video has an issue with it, or this video might be a thing. And at that point, like, any major cash gain that could be gotten from the video is done, and then it can be allowed to go through a process. It's not ideal in any way. In an ideal world, this never would have been an issue, and Max could keep making his living off doing very entertaining and sometimes drecky output, and someone like Doom can keep putting up his videos and earning a bit of cash back for something that he loves doing.
I have another idea that I don't know how could this be brokered or anything, but I think it's the ultimate solution, is that all the different parties realize the situation that we're in and that we all gain out of it, and they form a kind of a standard deal that you agree to when you sign up to a partnership on YouTube, which is YouTube gets 33%, the guys who make the game get 33%, and the guy who makes the video gets 33%. Everyone who's putting in work gets some money. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be a fight or a war. I don't understand that much. Like, I would think that a company like Capcom, which, you've seen all these Kotaku tabloid, oh, Capcom need money titles. If you told them, yeah, right, I'll tell you what.
No, it's true. Go ahead.
Yeah,
it's all truth.
Yeah, you can have a load of YouTube advertisement money, and people will be thankful for it, because instead of worrying about where this monetization thing's going, they're guaranteed a little bit less money. I think they go for it.
Yep.
Okay.
And the one problem is, will the YouTube, I don't know, the entire decision to roll out this kind of thing seems more like a decision made in a boardroom by suits than by actual people who would use the site. They can just be like, right, this games thing, shut it all down.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
Just a big corporate interest, corporate thing, rather than anything actually human, almost.
We could say that about nearly every change on YouTube that's occurred in the last 6 months.
Yeah, starting from probably Nintendo, would it be? Well,
Yeah.
it would be the
Well,
biggest one.
That was actually Nintendo's fault, to be fair. That wasn't YouTube.
No. So, the way we can look at this, is YouTube just changing its whole dynamic? Is it going from what used to be a friendly user's experience, everyone upload a video hobby and make this wonderful social circle, and they're opting to change it into a kind of TV broadcasting service in a way, in some small way, like, no? What do you think about it, like?
It definitely seems that way.
Because even with the whole channel page, everything just seems to be much more it's, I don't know, the experience of it is just it's much more different than it was a few years back, and you can feel the changes coming alongside with Google Plus and the rest. It just seems like they're trying to ramp things into a direction nobody wants to go.
Yeah, I'd agree that, like, obviously as someone who's partnered, I see this from a different angle to perhaps most people would. It definitely feels like there's a consistent and unstoppable shift towards YouTube becoming a corporate advertising platform as opposed to a platform for user-generated content and a fora for discussion, which is what it used to be. It's what it's designed to be like. The removal of video responses amazed me.
Yeah.
That makes no sense unless you don't want people complaining about a product that you have in an ad or something, you know?
Yeah. A great thing just on that is, I think with the advertising part of it now, I do know that Sony in the upcoming times now with the PS4, once they made a video, it was like the trailer feature on your channel now. They uploaded a video, and what Google had done is they had developed special links and a type of a kind of an ending template just for them to use as an advertising seat, of which of course Sony must have paid big bucks for now. Mm-hmm. That seems to me that that's exactly what YouTube is becoming, just a gigantic advertising board at this point.
Yeah, it's very much in danger of that being its future.
Like, if you go to the site, you can't see these links anywhere else. It's just on Sony's page. It's specifically made for them.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think another flavor of that coming through is when you go onto certain videos or certain series of videos, you get little, like, YouTube ads that are ads back into YouTube. And the one that constantly crops up for me is this one fecker called PewDie. What is it, PewDiePie or something?
Oh God, no.
He's the most annoying and irritating thing to ever crop up, and every time I see his name I get a little bit annoyed. And anytime I see one of his videos crop up and like, hey, you should watch this, I click into it, dislike, flag it for something, and then close the page straight away. Just as kind of like, stop showing me this. I am unhappy with this. Stop it now.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the top grossing Let's Players, I'd have to say, in YouTube.
One of the biggest problems with YouTube, though, is that there's no way to, like, give any proper feedback. YouTube throws what it wants at you, and it's so saturated and so huge that it's really difficult to, like, you've named other video sites to kind of go on, like Dailymotion, Vimeo, those kind of ones. But, like, YouTube is huge. YouTube has the biggest core audience. YouTube has the biggest kind of, like, amalgamation of everything, and the biggest, like, what would you call it? Range to try and grasp new viewers with, whereas something like Vimeo or Dailymotion, it's tiny by comparison. It's ridiculous. Like, maybe that's why YouTube feels it can get away with anything, because they almost can.
Yeah, like when you think about it, like, who does contend with YouTube, like, at a direct level? Is anyone even on YouTube's level at this point? Like, where's the competition?
Well, no, but, like, I do not, like, it's possible things are going to have to change. I mean, I have enough videos for uploading to probably, if I stretched it out, I'd have enough videos to upload until January. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to stretch it out and trying up 3 or 4 videos every day at this point. But, like, I can only, because January is when they're doing these new checks as well. If they started denying me my ability to put up videos, like, say they just picked the grand final of a tournament and said, no, you can't upload that. I mean, that's it. I can't continue on YouTube at that point. I have to go to Dailymotion. And I might only take 5 people with me, or 10 people with me, but I'm the video maker for a small country in the North Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, when you put it that way.
Yeah. What happens when Max does it? Or PewDiePie, or PewDiePie.
That was something I was going to bring up. Will some of YouTube's top users, will they be taken along the voyage?
I can't see how Max has a choice if he can't make money off Assist Me.
Yeah.
He has to find another way to like. Yeah, they're labors of love, but you do like I don't know if you guys have seen the panels where he discusses it. He might spend 6 months of solid work making a series of Assist Me.
Yeah,
Right.
he mentions it. Not even on
Yeah.
the side. I think he said direct attention's been drawn to it.
Yeah. So
See, there's some seedy undercurrent that I kind of want to talk about that I've noticed once in like a few years that I've been using YouTube, is that things like PewDiePie and Smosh TV or whatever the hell they're called, and what's his face, some Ray William Johnson, other names that keep cropping up in my inbox that I don't want and want
Yeah.
no part of. They seem to be some kind of like YouTube self-promoting people just for the sake of self-promoting them. And I don't think they're going to feel the brunt of this kind of thing. I think that, like, conspiracy, not me, you know, they're actually going to get away without having to get any checks, without having to get any flagged content. Because
I'd
YouTube
say that
knows they exist. Yeah. And YouTube has monetized them quite heavily because of the fact that they're getting so many views, have so many subscribers.
I'd agree with that completely. Well, I've no evidence, but I will tell you that like, I mean, it's not like my channel is huge, but as it grows, things become easier and easier on me. You know what I mean? I start seeing like, oh, I've gotten 10 views today from YouTube's advertising program. You mean that advertising program I never paid for? You know? So I have no doubt that the bigger and bigger and bigger you become, the more and more things become easy to become bigger again. I really have no doubt about that. And I would agree that that someone like PewDiePie or someone like that might have a few special conditions in place, but the Maxes won't.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Spookies won't. You know.
The Lighteros won't.
Yeah. Like, can you imagine how heartbroken Lee would be if like he gets content flagged on that on his Phoenix Wright tutorial?
Didn't he get flagged on that?
I think it may have been just the music, but that's a separate thing to it, isn't it? Really. I mean.
Yeah.
He's always using all the music. God damn it.
Yeah. With all due respect to Lee, like, he makes some dodgy choices with his music.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I deliberately go to websites that are like completely free music. We don't even use that. What's the name of that? Creative Commons, like completely free, utterly no license. That I either make the music or I take it from them.
Yeah. So Lee'll have to go 100% animation, pure original content.
Yeah.
He loves his animation. He'll kill himself. So the way this leaves it now is, we'll wrap it up because we're going on the 30th minute of it. Will YouTube or Google fix any of these issues they're implementing at the moment, or will they push it further and further down the fecal pipe that it's heading?
This is heading to a breaking point. I don't see YouTube stopping this roller coaster until it goes off the rails and kills someone in the parking lot.
Brilliant.
But
I love it.
it could actually get that far. Do you know what I mean? Like it could get to the point where people stop making gaming content for YouTube because there's no point.
Mm-hmm.
So they might go on and on about YouTube, but small changes.
God damn it.
Generally do things because people complain.
Sorry, you actually went out there for a tiny minute.
I'm sorry.
It's no problem, don't worry about it.
I just basically said sometimes I listen to people and they change. There's one more aspect that we haven't talked about this whole thing just before we go, and I think
Sure.
it's important to talk about, which is what we're talking about, right? I would like to focus on the transformative works. Right, we're talking about things with commentary, with multiple screens moving in and out, with maybe tutorials and stuff like that. These things are legally more defensible than just a straight let's play. You know what I mean? Which just shows a game from start to finish, maybe in a half-hour chunk, right? So the fighting game community tends to have very, very transformed works. And of all the gaming communities that are involved in this, we're probably one of the ones that really, really, really don't deserve to have to put up with this. Because their tournaments, their competitions, their character tutorials, their things like that, it's not just straight gameplay footage. The thing is that this law is untested in American court, and no one wants to do it. No one wants to be the guy who takes on, I don't know, Warner Brothers.
God help him.
Our champion Ultra David will rise to the challenge, I'm sure.
I've seen a few times that he's interested in things like this, but like we need the test case, you know, and that hasn't happened. So, but my point is, if someone has been listening to this and has been thinking, well, you know, they made the games, they have the rights. It's not that simple. It really isn't. And the current way of thinking from YouTube denies people who put work and time and love and care into it from what they're entitled to. And that's what really sucks about the current situation.
It's a pretty big issue that's most likely going to change YouTube for the place it is indefinitely.
Yeah, very much so.
Right. So, as it turns out, YouTube users will not be making a living. However, the videos, to an extent, may still be put up, but it's going to be a tough one. Very tough. I guess we can move on to a lighter subject, since we've made everyone so, like, it's just this whole macabre segue now. So, discussing all that, how about we go into the one tournament that I'm sure we were all aware of last week, which was DOC 11.5.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, you may have seen part of Team Doom there, working the background, not on the station at all, off having everyone else doing it.
I think the most important thing to come out of DOC 11.5, besides my 10-0 matchup victory, was the fact that Doom got an amazing idea out of sitting next to me and humming away a little song, a little ditty to himself, which I believe was Miley Cyrus's Wrecking Ball, which he then used in a slight parody video, which is up on his site, and I would encourage people to, on his YouTube channel, which I would encourage people to go check out.
I'll link it down below.
Go share it on Facebook and Twitter and stuff.
Oh, okay. Anything he's mentioned, by the way, will be listed in the bottom of the video. So if anyone's got any interest, don't just watch back in slow-mo and try capture the letters. It'll be in the underbar, most likely. Unless YouTube move it to the left, or the top, or the right, or send it to your Google Plus account. Not sure.
It's hilarious going back to old YouTube videos, and people are like looking above themselves and to the right for the subscribe button. And it's like,
oh God, we're slowly going back into it. No,
stop it.
Such a big issue. Anyway, so for the event, what were the main tournaments that were held? Voa, who was actually the main organizer for the entire event, painstakingly went through all of the entrants, made sure that they were all signed up, thrown up that paper for the XTC.
As I am always doing when AJ decides not to do it, because it seems to be himself and myself are the two primary organizers these days.
I think AJ considers himself the guy who runs the WrestleManias, and you're the guy who runs Raw.
Is this how it goes down? He does the big ass events, and I'm the weekly man.
Yeah, but you know what? The big ass events don't work without the weekly man. Do you know what I mean?
This is true.
I know. I'm there making sure the story threads come together for the big event, you know?
Exactly.
So that all the seeds are in place, there's a lot of rivalries all ready to go. Everything's just like ready and nicely lined up, and then he pulls the bullet and has an Evo qualifier.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Were you expecting that crowd for BlazBlue?
I was not expecting that crowd for BlazBlue. Jesus Christ. A side tournament in a small event. I was expecting maybe 20 people to turn up on a good day. And what we get is 7 people, I believe, turn up for Injustice, which Rachel wound up running, so thanks to her for that. Unfortunate about what happened with Slick, but thankfully he got a couple of games in anyway, so that's okay. Street Fighter had a crowd of 12, which is, come on guys, stop letting your scene die.
Yeah, I know.
Then, BlazBlue, 22 people. 22. That's 6 more than I've ever had in a BB tournament. And like 80% of them new faces, people who have never turned up before, and who are really enthusiastic about turning up again. It's phenomenal. I don't know. It's either Ken's natural charisma or con-goers finally deciding to turn up to tournaments.
I think it's the con-goers thing. There was something really different about Erticon this year. Like people knew who we were and what we were doing, and there was people who were like, "Yeah, Blasblue gonna get me some." You were there yourself, weren't you? Like,
I wasn't paying a lot of attention to the BB like I should have been because I went too far in Marvel.
Yeah.
Seriously, someone should have knocked me out with my scrub team.
There was I definitely saw some of the faces coming back, which is why I think it's important that we try and make it out to cons and stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm. Man, wouldn't it be funny if we got like an entire BlazBlue crew instead of just one fighting game player this year?
Yeah, well, we definitely got at least 3 or 4 out of this year. So.
Oh no, I meant like long-standing community members like we have with Fergus and Lee.
Yeah, that would be great if we got like an entire scene. So
that
would
be
to Erticon.
Insane. But anyway, the tournament ran out in the XGC, which is over on Liffey Street for anyone who knows Dublin at all, and for anyone who doesn't. It's near that big long street with the spiky thing next to the river in the big city. Alright? Alright.
Can't miss it.
Can't
miss it.
Can't miss any of it. But Injustice, I believe, was hype? I'm not sure, because when your game goes 3 of 5 the entire time, oh boy do games drag sometimes.
When it got to that point, everyone was pretty nervous, like, oh no, Bo's gonna get mad if we reset the brackets. Let's reset the brackets.
I was gonna get...
Oh, I was getting pissed off.
Okay, I'm kind of famous for my temper, because I feel that the best way to run an effective tournament is to let people know not to fuck with you. Because if people think they can fuck with you, then they're gonna just delay their games, they're not gonna announce their victories, they're not gonna be like, what would you call it? They're gonna just kind of arse around and not really do much. Which is a real danger, especially with with new tournament attendees who've never been to one before. They might not know how it runs.
Yeah, so they're looking to the older players for examples.
Yeah. Which is why I kind of ran BB with not quite an iron fist, but like getting people together and getting them paired up and being like, when a console gets free, you get the fuck down on that, and one of you come tell me who won, and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Because after running, I don't know how many DLCs I've run now because I've run out of numbers and started using halves and then done Evo games and then Road to Cans. Just madness. I've kind of learned that if people know not to fuck around, you get a much more efficient tournament. And if you can line people up together, you get a much more efficient tournament getting done. But it's just like that kind of thing. But like, so many people for BB. It was insane.
Not 100% surprised, considering wasn't DLC from the origin of what was basically a BB-centric tournament, was it not?
Here's the problem. Of all the old Wheel of... Like, it used to be called Wheel of Hype because, hooray. And I think I ran either 10 or 12 of them. I'm not sure. I might be inflating the numbers in my head, but I know I ran it for longer than 8 months. And then it bled into, like, Hype 2 Worlds, which was the Marvel and BB tournament set because that's what I played. And around that time, we were moving out of the XGC and into the Exchange. At which point I'm like, oh, I have so much more space. I can run longer tournaments. And I made the god-awful decision that was DOC 3. And while I don't regret it as much anymore, there's certain aspects of it I just look back on and go, what the fuck was I thinking?
7 tournaments, wasn't it? One day, 7 tournaments.
7 tournaments in one day in 5 hours. I'm like, what in God's green earth was I thinking?
You're so an optimist, fella.
There's optimistic, and then there's just being an idiot. And that's what I was that day.
I still remember. I remember you were just shy of a nervous breakdown. I mean, they were like, "Oh my God, look at this!" And I remember looking up and going, "Is anyone actually here to play Tekken?" And like, no one put up their hands. And then it was like, "If we say that there's no Tekken, is anyone gonna be upset?" No hands. They're like, don't bother with Tekken, though.
No, Doom, you're not remembering it right. Doom, you don't know how much my heart breaks. Dwy was there for Tekken.
Oh my God, poor little Dwy, yeah.
Poor little Dwy.
One guy.
Yeah, it was Dwy. I don't even know if you ever played Dwy. He was like some little 12-year-old who was like the Superchar back in the day. He was pretty okay at Marvel. And he was pretty okay at Tekken.
Fun fact, first person to knock me off a Marvel tournament was Dwight.
Really?
Yes, I got owned horribly by Phoenix.
Oh, but like, he hasn't turned up to a tournament since, and he hasn't even been on the forum since. I think I broke his poor little heart. Oh.
Well, he's at that
He
age,
shows
you
up
know.
Every now and then in IRC.
I just like to think he's at the age, you know. He's got girls on his mind, man. Yeah.
Why do I break small children's hearts, Doom?
I don't care about this
am I-
arcade
Why am I a
stick.
cruel bastard?
Some people are made to watch the world burn.
That's an interesting paraphrase. Mm.
I'm just trying to run tournaments, damn it. Anyway, but DOC4 and each one subsequent ran with a slightly easier hitch. But anyway, what happened is, despite the fact that that's how the tournaments evolved, BB got less and less attendees and kind of came down to this very specific core group. The North stopped showing up to everything, which was like half our numbers for a long while. And a lot of the people who used to play it kind of fell by the wayside and were like, I'll pick it up whenever. Like, the game kind of died a death when Extend came out because of Persona 4 with that great furore. For anyone who doesn't know, Persona 4 is a fighting game based off the Persona series and is one of the only PlayStation 3 games to ever be region locked. And that killed the anime fighter scene in Ireland. It killed it dead for a solid year. Because everyone was waiting on Persona, but because it got delayed and got delayed and got delayed, nobody wanted to play it when it came out because we felt betrayed. We felt like Arc System Works had taken a shit on us by taking a really, like, I don't want to say the Zen United are, like, unreliable, because they do get games out. It's just like BB and all the fighting games always take a little bit longer than they expect. Hell, Calamity Trigger, the very first BlazBlue game, came out 3 months late here on April 1st. I know, the game's a joke. Haha, I get it. And then by the time it came out, its sequel had already been announced in arcades and was already played in arcades in Japan. But at the time, I didn't really care because, I was just getting into it. And then I got the new game over the summer, and that was great. Even though I was playing it in Moonspeak because that's the only way to play those damn games. But now I'm going into the whole history of this kind of thing. What I'm saying is, these are all new faces. There's like maybe 5 of us who used to play this game religiously, who still do. And everyone else is a new body. Madness.
That's great.
I did notice that. There was a lot of new people at DOC.
Yeah.
And we done, like, no advertising. Actually, no. No, I think
hang
about
on.
it. No,
Hang
it was
on.
actually done a while ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. I'm trying to be more active on social media, so I did all the tweets and I did all the Facebook group and tried to get it shared and all that stuff. So, like, what
Shout
more
out
do you
to the
do?
Galway lads that came up.
Yeah, Galway lads come up for Street Fighter.
The Street Fighter lads don't even come out for Street Fighter in Dublin anymore.
Yeah, that's starting to get a wee bit annoying.
Whereabouts is that tournament? Kildare? How far? 20 minutes, maybe? No. Can't do that. Online.
Like,
I
I
swear
want to say
God.
this. I want to warn the Street Fighter scene that if they don't start showing up to tournaments again and don't start taking the game like at a slightly more serious pace, what's happened in BB is going to happen to Street Fighter, and it's probably already happened to Marvel as well, wherein 1 or 2 guys are still super dedicated to the game, turn up to every event that's run for the game, and play it religiously and at a decent level. So when the next game drops, they're going to be so far ahead of everyone else's curve, they're going to just take everyone to town for free.
Yeah.
Ladno is at that stage right now, where he still is just the best Irish Street Fighter player, I would say.
Yeah, without
Like,
question. I agree with that.
He's probably more frightening than Kobolcog was back in his day, because Kobolcog was just, I don't know, probably felt like he was just doing cammy things and being irritating. Whereas Ladno is beating you, and there's not much you can do about that, because you can't really outthink someone who's already outthought you, if
Yeah.
that makes any sense.
He's
Yeah,
2
that's
steps
kind of
ahead.
what's Yeah, that's kind of what's happening in BB right now, is Keith is just taking people apart. He's played the game, he played Extend when nobody else did. When everyone else put the game away for a year, he kept training. He went hyperbolic time chamber on us, and went from a guy who was very good at BB. Don't get me wrong, he was never bad at it. But, like, he went from a guy who's very good at BB to having almost flawless execution for what he wants to do, and being able to outthink people on a lot of levels based off the character matchups and what he knows of the people he's fighting. Like, it's really hard to just beat a guy who just knows much, much more about the game than you do, which was me in BB for a while, because I had to know a lot about the game because my character was shit. The only way I could win matchups was by knowing more about what I could and couldn't punish than the other guy knew about me. And also trying to outthink them by doing gimmicky resets. I mean, say what you like about gimmicks not being legitimate or anything, but in BlazBlue, with Tager, gimmicks win games. Because they have to. Because you don't have the tools to properly beat a lot of your matchups, you have to sometimes force the other person into an area that's uncomfortable in some way. That's done via a gimmick, like, say, gadget finger whiffing on somebody who's in the air to pull them towards the ground, which forces them to neutral check in the air, and when they land, they can't perform an attack instantly, so you 720 them.
I think you're kind of getting off the topic of...
I really am.
So referring there, Keys, also known as Nafael, he won DOC 11.5, that's correct, isn't it?
He won the BB tournament, I believe. Ladno walked away handily with Street Fighter.
Yeah.
And who won Injustice again? It was you?
Fire Breather, Irish Mantis. He has so many names. He just can't pick a name.
He just keeps changing it up as well.
Yeah,
he's one of my favourite commentators in the Irish scene as well.
Oh, for fuck's sake. I could only imagine why. You know what? Say what you will about the NRS scene. They had the best, hands down, Irish commentators I've ever listened to.
Yeah.
Razor.
It's always a funny time listening to them.
Amazing.
The NRS guys have always been super, super up for any tournament, and have always been super, super into showing up and playing and being hype on the, no matter what the conditions are. So, like, that's why I let the entire tournament go 3 of 5. The entire tournament, try to get as much recorded, because you got the NRS guys got kind of not quite shat on, but like the short end of the stick for a lot of recent DOCs. Especially the last one, where you guys were forced to play your grand final off stream on a separate console outside the normal bracket for the rest of us, and had to pay some of the prize money in to keep the console out to play it. So, like, yeah, I kind of felt you guys would do yours.
Yeah, well, it's really hard to run a tournament, you know. In the end, that's what it comes down to. I mean, it's a group effort. It's not just done by an individual. I mean, it could be done by an individual, but he's not going to be playing the damn game. Let's put it that way. It's a big event. It's really hard, especially for a small scene as ours. But going back to what you mentioned there about constantly coming to casuals and practicing, it will leave the scene with a killer in each game, but nobody for the killers to play with. So all we're left with is 4 or 5, for each game, a player that's very good, but could be better with equal competition, and there's just nobody around for that. So we're left with the Ladnos, the Nafaels, the Toms, which goes the A best player, BB's best player, and Marvel's best player, with no competition. And where does that leave the scene? There's no scene.
Part of the problem with the Capcom games right now is that, well, in the case of Ultimate, like, the game, as I say, the game's been solved. I think that's fair to say, isn't it? Like until some new tech comes out, people think they know what's what, and the game is just you pick low tier and lose, or you pick high tier and you do what you see everyone else doing on every other stream elsewhere.
I like that.
You know, that's but that's the way it is. And with Street Fighter, like, the game was heading that way, and there were still people interested, but now they've said Ultra's coming out, and now I can sense it. I can hear people going like, "Oh, I'll pick up when Ultra's out again." Ultra's not out for another 7 months.
7 months, jeez, I thought it was 4.
So, like, how do you keep people enthused about it until they start doing some work to try and get people back into it? You know, like, we sit here and we blame people for not going to casuals and not coming out to tournaments and stuff, but like, they have to have a bit of hype to do it, you know?
This is true, yeah.
And the people who make the games aren't being particularly helpful with that right now. Maybe not Arxis. They seem to.
They're trying their best, apart from Kokonoe.
So, you know, it's a bit of a problem, but then it's catch-22 for them, because if they put out a yearly update, then you have Kotaku going, "Oh, look, it's Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Turbo Hyper 5.2 edition," because no one's ever made that joke before.
Yeah, a lot of people are pulling them up saying, "Oh, well, they're just milking it." But I mean, if something's in demand, is it? I don't know. Like, is it a bad thing if it's in demand?
My major problem with it, though, is that then you risk the BV syndrome, because another reason that the BV scene died was oversaturation of new games and or new DLC, new content, stuff that had to be done to keep the game updated. Like, within the space of me getting CS1, the Continuous 1, there was CS1, there were 3 versions of that, three versions of that, the base version, and one for two of the new DLC characters. Then CS2 came out with the 3rd DLC character, and then there was CS Extend. It was just too many versions and too many updates in too short a space of time. It's like, it's dangerous either way you go to each extreme, but there has to be a happy middle ground wherein you keep updating your game and keep trying to get it, to a stable place, and then you can take community feedback, and then you can start updating. Like a year and a half cycle would be like the most comfortable for everyone, I think. Like Street Fighter, how long has 2012 been out now? A full year, pretty much.
Yeah, that's about
Or
right.
like going on 2 years almost, or did it come out at the start of 2013?
Well, AE came out 2 years ago, didn't it? And then no,
Yeah.
did it? Jesus.
I think it didn't even last a full year.
Yeah, Yun and Yang, Jesus,
Well,
everyone.
yeah. In fairness, AE was the Young and Yang days, and nobody wants to go back to those, I don't think.
So it just comes down to oversaturation. Excuse me. Oversaturation can kill it. The changes Ultra's making, I just want to bring this up. We'll put it down a 9:30, but this is interesting enough to keep going till then. Are the big changes Ultra making more significant than AE's ever were? As long as the changes are significant enough that they make the game practically a complete foreign aspect to the one before that, does it matter if they do it a lot, so long as the changes are big? What do you think on that?
Well, I think there's definitely enough significant changes in Ultra that the people who played the previous games can sit down and they're gonna have to think about the game. They're gonna have to make changes to the way they play. They're gonna have to consider the new Ultra options. I think the biggest system change is delayed wake up. I mean, that changes everything.
That is changing Street Fighter itself, isn't it? Like, that's
Yeah,
a
that is-
pretty
yeah.
big mechanic.
Yeah, I believe there was something similar in CVS2, but that's one game out of 11 billion.
No, you're right. It was CVS too, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
There's so many.
the
like,
delayed
way-
wake up. How does
Yeah.
that actually work? Is it just a case of you push a button and then you stay on the ground?
You
for
press
5
2
frames?
buttons before you fall, and you stay down for a few frames. But just as you got hit, you make the guess right as you're about to fall. So you do the 2-button input before you fall. So the decision's already made. You can't just decide as you're lying down to do it. It's pretty
not
dumb.
It's not like the BB system of active wake up style thing.
No.
No.
This
It's
basically, if someone's got like an op, so much happens on wake up in Street Fighter, so much Oki game that these couple of frames will throw off an option select or some ambiguous cross up or whatever. The whole point is to terminate the idea of get knocked down, wake up, get knocked down again, wake up, get knocked down again, because it's not fun when you're new, and it's an absolute hype killer on stream. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at no level is that a fun thing to watch or a fun thing to play, being on the defensive in that. So, I think I've yet to decide whether it's a good change or a bad change, but I think the important thing is that it is a change,
Yes, absolutely.
Because how long have we been playing Street Fighter for,
Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, they're making it more complicated, and it's definitely, Ultra seems like more of a niche game than ever before fighting games were. I mean, fighting games are a niche, but now this feels like the niche for a step above. This is even more specific.
It's at the same. Well, you see, here's the thing, because delayed wake up is going to make it easier for noobs. Because it reduces the power of the wake up game. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
at the same. I mean, it's not going to be played by any noobs. I think the only people who are going to play are people who played Super.
Yeah, but I agree. And the great thing about it, though, is, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking it for adding more complexity into the game, which is already a chess-like standard. But the great thing is, these mechanics being added in keep it that it's still noob-friendly. It's still a game anyone could pick up and have fun with. Slap an Ultra out, kill someone, play T-Hawk.
I think that's ultimately what Capcom wants. Like, I mean, none of us wants fighting games to die, right?
Well, I don't know. No, kid, of course, no, of course not.
Where we're located in Western Europe, fighting games live or die by how Street Fighter is doing. Or maybe Marvel. I mean, yeah, there's other scenes and everything, but like, we wouldn't be having this discussion if it wasn't for Street Fighter 4.
Exactly. Like, as much as I might want to rag on it, or I used to rag on it for being, like, boring and silly to watch, and, like, certain things are silly in it that I could see. And now there's things that are clearly broken, like the proximity guard glitch, which was never intended by the developers and changes some of the matchups radically, which I won't get into now because I don't think we have time to talk about it.
No.
It still is the most fundamental and the most fundamental and the best kind of measure stick for how to build a fighting game. There's nothing about it that is clearly, utterly, ridiculously, stupidly broken. And there's always a way back out in that game. If you have a sliver of life, you can always still make it back. Like, in a game like Marvel, if you only have a sliver of life, maybe you can X-Factor, maybe you can't. In BB, if you've got a sliver of life, there's not that huge way of coming back. In Street Fighter, there's always a way to make it back.
Mm-hmm. Well, like, people say it to me all the time, like, you know, commentators who really know me say that I'm most dangerous when I'm a fight down and a round down. They're like, oh, Doom will start playing really solid now. And I will, because I can't lose, so you've got to not make a mistake from that point on. And Street Fighter, in general, there are exceptions. If you play really solid, there's always a chance. Do you know what I mean? The game is about being solid. You hit your anti-airs, you zone correctly. You play footsies correctly. Do you know what I mean? That's the basis of it. And to be honest, those things should be the basis of every good fighting game. Now, you can argue about, like, in Marvel, you know, like, you don't zone or play footsies in the same way because the game is so much about mobility. Do you know what I mean? So there are footsies in Marvel, but controlling where your character is on the screen doesn't rely on footsies on the ground in the same way that it does in Street Fighter. I'm not saying that's wrong, but it's pretty true that, you know, the concept of controlling space, which is what footsies and zoning really do in a fighting game, is almost flipped on its head in a game like Marvel, or even BlazBlue, like, because there's so many mobility options. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, it's a good game for that, you know, like.
And as we close it up, we refer back to our original topic on how to become a pro fighting game player. Hit those anti-airs, pick top tier. It's lovely, all right. You know, we might even, that'd be a lovely topic I'd love to pull up with, Ultra Street Fighter, because I feel like, even though I'd love to hear the opinion of all the AE players, especially on the IRC, because, hell, they are a talkative bunch. I think Dreddy could lead me into hospital with a fucking tumor talking about AE and why it's bullshit to Cammy and why she doesn't deserve any of the nerves. But anyway, it's closing up. Thank you, Doom and Voa, for being here. It's been a pleasure.
No problem.
As we close it up with just DOC, and as we closed up with YouTube media, I think we covered enough, and a sufficient amount for an hour, I'd say. Almost coming up to an hour. Next time, this is a bi-weekly podcast. For anyone that's God, I don't even expect anyone to be here at this stage. But for anyone that is bi-weekly, which yes, can mean once every 2 weeks, will most likely happen again. And who knows what it could be? Could be AE, could be back to YouTube media. But for those topics, Doom will have to be back to profess his love of it all.
I really don't want it to be about YouTube again. I want YouTube to just stop.
Well, just wait till January, Doom. I'm sure you'll have a lot to say then.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, thanks for listening in. See you again.
Yep, cheers.
See you.
Oh, that was good.